This exercise could leave you in the hospital. One wrong move, and your chest muscle can snap like a rubber band. And when that happens, only surgery can fix it. And that's just one of 5 exercises guaranteed to cause serious injury. If you think that sounds extreme, ask a surgeon. They see it all the time. 1 second, guys are pressing dumbbells like it's just another workout. And the next, a loud pop with a blinding pain. And their pec muscle rolls up into their chest like a broken window shade. The dumbbell bench press is dangerous because of one thing: too much stretch under too much weight. When you lower the dumbbells too deep, your pec tendon gets pulled past its limit, all while holding heavy weight, and that's exactly when it snaps. The bigger the stretch, the higher the risk. And here's the scary part: it feels fine until the moment it doesn't. It happens instantly, no warning, no second chance. And when it does, you're looking at surgery and months of recovery. Most people make 3 deadly mistakes with dumbbell presses: going too deep, using too much weight, and bouncing the dumbbells. Going too deep means your pec tendon stretches like a rope until it rips. Using too much weight adds more force on the tendon, increasing the risk of a snap. And bouncing the dumbbells shocks the tendon, raising the chance of sudden rupture. One bad rep and boom, you're in a sling, scheduling surgery, and out of the gym for over 6 months. If you tear your pec, even a partial tear will need months of rehab just to get basic strength back, and a full rupture leaves surgery as your only option. Surgeons say that if you wait too long, the muscle starts to shrink and deform, making surgery less effective. And even with surgery, you'll never be as strong as before. So, if you want to avoid a trip to the hospital, please listen closely and pay attention for the next 20 seconds. Use a neutral grip with your palms facing each other to reduce stress on your shoulders and pec tendons. Stop at elbow level so you never go too deep, and use controlled reps with no bouncing or jerking. Also, try a slight incline of 15 to 30 degrees for less tendon stress and a safer press. If you ignore this, you might end up in surgery. And trust me, you don't want that. Fixing your bench press is smart, but what about the exercise that surgeons call the perfect disc herniation machine? Most lifters think back injuries happen from one bad rep, one heavy set, one mistake. But that's not how it works. There's an exercise you see in every gym. It's in every strength program and training plan, a move praised as a must-do for building power and muscle. But what no one tells you is that it's also destroying lifters' spines, one rep at a time. Every time you do it, your vertebrae grind against your spinal discs, squeezing them like a vice. At first, your body absorbs the stress, but over time, the discs weaken, crack, and eventually rupture. Think about squeezing a jelly donut from both ends. Eventually, the filling has to go somewhere. In your spine, that filling is the soft nucleus of your discs. When forced outward, it creates what doctors call a herniation. At first, you might only feel a little stiffness or tightness, nothing that stops you from training. And then, one normal rep takes you out. A sharp electric pain shoots down your leg. Your lower back locks up and the weight drops from your hands. Once that happens, your lifting career might be over. And the exercise responsible for this? You've probably been doing it for years, the Romanian deadlifts. A movement designed to build strength in your hamstrings, glutes, and lower back, but at a cost. The Romanian deadlift forces your spine into a high-risk position where small mistakes turn into life-changing injuries. And here's how this exercise sets you up for surgery. What makes this movement so dangerous is how small mistakes multiply the risk. Rounding your lower back increases disc pressure by 50%. Jerking the weight up instead of a smooth pull is another injury multiplier. And going beyond your technical capacity is like practically handing your surgeon a paycheck. Now, what happens if your spine gives out? In a mild case, you're in pain for months, struggling to sit, walk, or sleep. In a moderate case, you'll need spinal injections just to function. In severe cases, surgery becomes inevitable. A discectomy can cost $50,000 or more. A spinal fusion, where 2 vertebrae are permanently locked together, can exceed $100,000 and leave you with a stiff, immobile back for life. Imagine spending 6 figures just to walk without pain, and even then, insurance rarely covers it all. Even with the best surgery, rehab, and recovery plan, your spine will never be the same. So how do you protect your spine while still training your hamstrings and glutes? You don't have to give up training, but you do need to train smarter. To do Romanian deadlifts safely, keep a neutral spine, no rounding or excessive arching. Don't go too deep, stop just below the knees to reduce disc pressure. Use controlled reps with no bouncing or jerking, slow and smooth wins. Use moderate weight, and if you have to break form to lift it, it's too heavy. My recommendation is to switch to safer alternatives. Try hip bridges to build glutes and hamstrings while keeping your back supported, and consider glute ham raises to strengthen your posterior chain without spinal compression. And use reverse hyperextensions, one of the safest ways to improve lower back strength while helping your spine recover. These exercises deliver the same results without the risk of spinal damage. Ignore this, and one day you might wake up unable to stand up straight. 60% of lifters will injure their shoulder at some point. A torn rotator cuff? Almost half never fully recover their strength. A major tear? You might need surgery, and even that won't bring you back to 100%. Most people don't even know their shoulder is breaking down until it's too late. There's no warning, no sharp pain, no obvious injury. Until one day, you pick up the dumbbells, and something feels wrong. A sudden, deep pain spreads through your shoulder and you drop the weight. You try to lift your arm, but it won't move. Your shoulder just failed, and once that happens, pray that you'll be able to lift again. Your shoulder is the most unstable joint in your body. Your knees, built for stability. Your hips, designed to handle massive force. Your shoulders, they rely on tiny, delicate tendons to keep them in place. And every time you do this exercise, you're slowly grinding those tendons down until they snap. The exercise I'm talking about is dumbbell lateral raises. It seems simple, but done the wrong way, it's a guaranteed path to injury. One common mistake is lifting too high. Once your arms go past shoulder level, your rotator cuff gets crushed between your bones. Another one is using too much weight. Your shoulders aren't meant to handle heavy lateral raises. The more weight you use, the more you tear through your tendons. And turning your palms down puts your rotator cuff in the worst possible position, increasing your risk of impingement. What happens if your shoulder gives out? A rotator cuff repair surgery can cost anywhere from $10,000 to $25,000. If the damage is bad enough, you might need full shoulder reconstruction, a procedure costing over $50,000. Even after surgery, your pressing strength will likely never fully return. If you still want to perform dumbbell lateral raises, you need to fix your form immediately. Turn your palms slightly up, keeping your thumbs higher than your pinkies to keep your rotator cuff in a safer position. Stop at shoulder height. Anything higher crushes your tendons. Control the weight. If you have to swing it up, it's too heavy. Also, you can try alternatives like cable lateral raises, which provide constant tension without grinding your joints, or lean away lateral raises, which change the angle to reduce impingement risk. And lastly, scapular plane raises keep your shoulders in a safer, more natural movement. These exercises build strong, wide shoulders without destroying them. Imagine a Jenga tower. At first, everything is stacked perfectly. Solid, stable, unshakable. Then, one block gets pulled out. The tower wobbles, but it stays up. A few more blocks get removed, and now the structure is weaker. It's still standing, but one wrong move, and the whole thing collapses. That's exactly what's happening to your lower back every time you do this exercise wrong. You won't feel the damage happening until it's already done and irreversible. This is a classic back builder exercise and one of the most dangerous movements for your lower spine. Let me introduce the barbell bent over rows. Unlike deadlifts, where your spine has the ground for support, barbell rows put all the weight directly onto your lower back with no support at all. And here's where things go terribly wrong. Your spine becomes a pressure bomb. When you bend over and row with bad form, you pack explosive force into your lower back. The more reps you do, the more pressure builds, until something inside detonates. Your discs are like water balloons. If you keep your back rounded, you're squeezing them from both ends. One day, that balloon bursts and spinal fluid leaks onto your nerves, causing searing pain down your legs. Your nerves are hanging by a thread, row too heavy or with sloppy control, and you're grinding away at the very support keeping you from paralysis. Each rep is like dragging a rope across sharp metal, until one day, it snaps. And when it snaps, be prepared to spend between $30,000 to $100,000 on recovery. Your hospital stay could set you back $5,000 to $10,000 per night, depending on severity. Spinal MRIs and diagnostics run between $1,500 to $3,000 just to confirm the damage, and a laminectomy, removing spinal bone to relieve pressure, can cost over $50,000. Physical therapy and rehab cost from $200 to $500 per session for months, and pain management, including medications and injections, could add another $5,000 to $15,000 annually if surgery doesn't fully fix it. And let's not forget discectomy and spinal fusion procedures, which can cost up to $100,000. Most people who undergo back surgery never regain full strength and end up living with lifelong pain, stiffness, and movement restrictions. If you still refuse to quit barbell rows, you need to fix your form immediately. Brace your core. A tight core supports your spine. Bend your knees slightly to keep pressure off your lower back. Keep your back straight. No rounding, no arching, neutral spine only. And control the weight. If you have to jerk it up, it's too heavy. But what's even better? Try some alternative exercises. Chest-supported rows remove lower back strain while still building a strong upper back. Seal rows eliminate spinal compression by keeping you flat on a bench. And single-arm dumbbell rows let you lift heavy with full control and reduced spinal stress. These exercises help you build muscle without wrecking your back. The final exercise is something you would probably never guess could hurt you. You've been told they build your core. You've been told they're essential for six-pack abs. But what no one tells you is the reason why thousands of lifters end up in physical therapy, dealing with lower back pain, hip dysfunction, and even spinal damage. That's because of this exercise. Me personally, I used to do it every training session until I found out about this. And the fact that trainers, doctors, and people in general recommend this exercise is absolutely terrifying. Look at these statistics. 80% of adults experience lower back pain at some point in their lives, and herniated discs affect 5 to 20 out of every 1,000 adults annually. Once you herniate a disc, you have a 27 to 37% chance of it happening again within 10 years. Over 300,000 spinal surgeries are performed each year in the US, and more than 20% of spine surgeries fail. And this is just general info. Look at how high the numbers are. Now imagine if you're doing something that makes these numbers even higher. You're destined for disaster, all because of one exercise you never questioned. The hanging leg raises. This is why they're bad. They're not really an ab exercise. Your hip flexors do most of the work, not your abs. They crush your lower back. Every rep pulls your spine into a stressed position, increasing the risk of disc herniation. They throw your body out of alignment. Overuse of hip flexors tilts your pelvis forward, leading to lower back pain and poor posture. And they carry a high injury risk. Repetitive stress can cause hip impingement, nerve pain, and chronic stiffness. There are safer ways to train your abs. For example, planks build core strength without straining your lower back or overloading your hip flexors. Important to mention, you can still do this exercise, but there are some rules to follow, like no swinging. Momentum is your enemy. Keep your range of motion in check. Raising your legs too high adds unnecessary spinal stress. Control the descent with no fast, uncontrolled reps. And engage your core. If your hips do all the work, your abs aren't benefiting. You can either train smart now or spend years recovering later. The choice is yours. Thank you for watching.